So you go from the thought that the experience isn't for everyone. You go through that thought, but then there's something also attached to it. And what is attached to it is a certain feeling. This feeling in the book of Hebrews chapter 12. In the book of Hebrews chapter 12, the author of the book of Hebrews chapter 12 is just giving a bit of a breakdown of why you may be feeling the way that you feel. And one of those things is that there is chastening, there's conflict. You're experiencing conflict because you're actually cared for, you're actually loved. And not everybody is going to be going through this conflict because not everybody is loved in that particular way. Because them that do go through such conflict, it is a sign, and it is a witness that, as it says in the book of Hebrews, chapter 12, the Father above is seeing you and finds something admirable within you. And so that chastening is necessary. And so if we would have earthly parents that would chasten us and we remain silent and just take it, well, then why not embrace the chastening that comes from above, remaining silent and taking it, knowing that it is not just for some sort of flesh based ideal or for some sort of temporal justice, but for what is within, for healing, for the justice, and for moving forward, what is within, and for the purpose of conquering the devotional experience, for the purpose of conquering the devotional experience. And so that's the other aspect of this is the more I've spoken to different people and the more I've gotten to learn different experiences out there, individuals that are coming out of religion, individuals that don't really want religion anymore, but understand that there's a specific sort of fraudulence behind the atheistic movement and the skeptic movement, and they don't really want to abandon what they feel and know for the Bible. But at the same time, they don't want what they feel and know to be further corrupted by the secular religious tradition that is out there. And secular meaning those that have to do with the Bible and then those that have to do with science, secular religion. And so they want to continue it. But the thing is that they're feeling pressure. They're feeling pressure, and that pressure is making them feel depressed. And that depression is making them feel like everything that they believe in is false. Everything that they have gone through has just been haphazard or has just been degrading or has been inhumane, has been insulting. And so there's a conflict there, and which is valid. No need to question that because that's the automatic natural response. They're finding out that their initial religious heritage or their initial religious theory hasn't been doing that much to serve them for a higher purpose that they have been intending. And so they're finding out that they need to do something to move on. So the past is haunting. They don't want the future to repeat the past experience. And at the same time, they don't want to enter into the future without knowledge of their past experience. And from all of the conversations that I have had, it's more along the lines of okay, so you're on that Exodus journey, and I'm on that Exodus journey, but I'm feeling pain. I'm feeling pain because everything that I thought I knew, I no longer hold that to be true. And I'm now suffering and I'm now angry. I am angry at the fact that what I now see to be the Bible itself even is no longer legitimate. It's no longer just, it's no longer as pure as it once was. And it was once pure, and I'm just speaking now, it was once pure because our understanding was veiled by emotion. It was emotion that was carrying our disposition to go to church or to look at this or to believe that or to be faithful to this opinion or that theory or to uphold that ritual or tradition or it was whatever something emotional tying to whatever we had inside of us that kept us moving. But the thing is that truth knows no emotion. There is no emotion with truth. Zero. When it comes to truth, there's really only correction. And from that comes logic. And it is from that correction and then from that logic that we then have the opportunity to make a decision about how we feel about what is now being presented to us. And it's how we feel that will further direct us in our learning in a self regulated manner, whether or not we will continue um, to learn in a self regulated manner. But when that initially, like, or first hits, well, that's a blow to the conscience of our conversation because we've been living in such a way for such a period of time that now when truth, which really doesn't care about how we feel or what we think, simply just about the correction and the rationale behind it, when truth finally is there and hits, we're left to understand what decision to make afterwards. And that can sometimes feel like everything is against us. Different dialogues that I've had, individuals reaching out to me and understanding their frame of mind, it can feel like everything is against us. We can start to feel like Jeremiah, or we can start to feel like Job, who in both of their records say, "Why was I born? Why did I not die in the womb?" It gets to that point. And I'll just say, in the context of those verses within Job and within Jeremiah, it's not literal because what they were going through wasn't truly literal sorrow, even though their environments were definitely literally hostile. They were actually seeing apostasy philosophically and religiously that was leading to a hostile environment. So these individuals having something special on their mind, the context of what they were saying has to do with their belief. Why would my mind be conceived if all I was to know was the horror and the dread of what it means to honor the living God if I now must suffer for it? Why now must I have the horror and the dread of honoring the living God if now I must see the leaders of my people further lead us into apostasy, which will further cause our God to cause us to move us into slavery? So it has to do not simply just with the physical, with the physical. There's a mental side of it too. There's a mental and a physical, philosophical side of it, to where this birth isn't in reference to the natural, and this death isn't in reference to the natural. Because when we're going through an experience where when we're seeing what we perceive to be apostasy, when we're seeing what is not truth, when we're going through an experience where truth is now beginning to make sense, and when we're seeing that what we thought was truth is actually untruth or just vain, nominal, that can hurt. And then we can begin to cry out, why was I even born? Why did I even enter into this religious world? How did that happen? And then that's a good thing. That's a good thing because we can then start to question the experience. Question the experience. And that's how we remember our initial concern. We ended up in the Bible in a belief, however we did, whether it was through mother or father, or whether it was through something in life that made us realize something within the Bible is for us. But from that initial point, somehow we ended up in a theoretical belief. Somehow we ended up in a theoretical belief to where a theoretical belief became a foundational fact, guided by the denominational outlook and guided by whoever else's outlook. Meanwhile, our outlook and our initial concern or reason for studying the Bible, or for knowing it or for caring for it, it has somehow passed away. And so now, when all of this takes place that we will go through, and again, I don't know if I started by saying this, but in previous last week, Justification Live, I had to just begin by saying the experience isn't for everyone. This particular experience isn't for everyone. Not everybody is going to care to understand how to mentally and philosophically better themselves. So the experience isn't for everyone. So if you particularly are going through this and nobody else around you is, the experience isn't for everyone. And the experience is to let the individual know that their mind is definitely better, than what they think it is, and their experience is definitely better than what they think it is and ought to be. So the experience isn't for everyone. And so feeling as though everything in the past has passed away and it's not, just to continue to trust it, and yet there's a feeling that one must. This sends us back to our initial reason for studying the scriptures, for taking the Bible to be that guide, to be something special to us. This brings us back. Now that everything has been proven false, now that we are questioning what we believe, now that we are seeing that the theory is not panning out to our individual outlook, and to our personal experience, or to what we are coming across doctrinally or philosophically, this allows the individual now to return to that genuine care and concern for the scriptures because they've gotten lost in the sauce. We've gotten lost in the theory. All of a sudden, the theory's not making sense, and then you start to go, why am I even here? Why was I even born? Oh, wait a minute. Maybe I wasn't. Maybe I wasn't set up for this experience. Maybe I somehow found myself in this experience, and this wasn't the kind of experience I was supposed to have. Well, wait a minute. Well, if this wasn't supposed to be the kind of experience I was supposed to have, then what kind of experience was I actually supposed to have? So if I'm feeling this way, something has to be wrong because I don't remember signing up for this. And then it's just these little experiences and these little thoughts that just settle in, and then they make us dig deeper into the question, and then that's how a new and the better journey and experience takes place. Individuals that are specifically called for this one, individuals you would say, I don't know, it's weird to say, but chosen individuals. And again, the journey isn't for everyone, even though everyone is here for the journey. The journey isn't for everyone. The experience isn't for everyone, even though everyone is on or in the experience. The specific experience isn't for everyone. And so we have to be mindful of that. That's something that we have to be mindful of because we are not anybody else. And our reality, our reality impacts us in a way that another's reality is not impacting them, or in a way that our reality cannot impact another. And that's a bit of a mind shift there, because the general idea that religion has is that it's a community orientated type deal. It's community orientated. You can only, it's according to church doctrine, be saved in the group, or in a sense, even though there's a personal aspect to it, sure, but there's a community aspect that you also have to abide by. And that's something that's a bit of indecent to get across, because when you think about the community is filled with a conscience, yes. Community is filled with consciousness, yes. But there are individual minds that make up the community. So the experience is really not community based, it's really individual based. And that's something the Bible highlights. And so the individual going through a personal experience and chosen to, meaning allowed to, or their heart has allowed them to be able to go through this. Something is moving them more to let go of something, and they need to go on, individual based. That experience is very individual and specific, and you can be in a room of 50,000 and be the only one that can understand that what those 50,000 are doing, well, there's really something not right with it. But that doesn't mean you abandon what the 50,000 are perverting. That doesn't mean you abandon what the 50,000 are perverting. Well, that means, as it says, either Matthew, Mark, or Luke, go back home and tell those the good that the Lord has done for you after he healed that leper. And the same illustration is for us, is that we are, and I'm saying we because this is a specific community here that is going through an experience and that is willingly going through an experience and that is humbly going through an experience. We are going through a specific experience so that we don't keep it to ourselves, but so that we go back home, so that we go back home and give to the individuals back home what we have picked up and the goodness that the living God has been doing to us and that has been done to us. That's the mission. Remember the book of John 17, I send you as he sent me. And how did he send him? Hereafter will you see the angels ascending and descending. Well, that ascending and descending, it's a figurative illustration of laborers going from earth upwards and then from upwards back down to earth. And that figurative illustration is the illustration of a ladder that is an experience. The ladder in that saying, hereafter angels ascending and descending, the ladder in that illustration is an experience. The ground floor, which is the earth, is our individual particular denominated field or theological realm or philosophical ground which others occupy. That's below the ladder. Above the ladder is the school of education for every mind willing to understand the devotional character within the Bible. This is the denomination above the ladder. This is the institution above the ladder. This is the discipline above the ladder that every mind honoring the devotional character again within the Bible is going to be trained on. And as you're trained on this, you go back down the ladder, you go back down the experience to where you have come from and enlighten where you have come from. Then you go back up the ladder for your training, come back down to enlighten. Go back up the ladder into your training, come back down. Again, what is above the ladder? This isn't literal. This is an experience within the devotional conversations, thoughts, and feelings with the scriptures. What is below the ladder isn't as literal, even though it is the devotional upbringing that we have in the field of the sphere around it. This is the journey. This is where the journey of the called or the handpicked soul, as I said in my last, or the chosen one, or the individual given to this experience. And I don't want to use these terms as if I'm saying some sort of weird thing. Hard to put these things into frame, but the individual called for this specific task, chosen for this specific task, is to first go through an experience of correction, personal devotional correction, because the end goal is enlightenment to the sphere around us, to our home. And every one of us is connected to a home that's different, whether that home is a literal home or whether that home is a congregation or whether that home is an assembly of like-minded individuals. We have a responsibility in this journey and in this experience to enlighten. And we cannot enlighten and we cannot do that seriously unless first willing to be enlightened. And that means putting what we feel to the side. That means putting our human being to the side. That means allowing the conversation's thoughts and feelings to thrive. That means allowing the conversation's character to both grow and develop. That means not being so hard on ourselves, as the author in the book of Hebrews, chapter 12, is wanting us to do, not to be so hard on ourselves. Don't be so hard on yourself for going through what you're going through. And when I'm saying going through what you're going through, the author of the book of Hebrews isn't talking about just any sort of life ideal or life changing crisis or what this going through, this chastening. It is for the culture of the devotional conversation. Whatever you're going through in life, whether it has to do with your belief or with your natural life, everything falls back down to the growth and the development of your devotional conversations, thoughts, and feelings for the purpose of culture, cultivating culture. And if we're going through these experiences, if we're going through a struggle. There's a specific reason for it. And that specific reason for the purpose of chastening. If we are being, if we are suffering, the book of Peter tells us to suffer unto the living God as unto a creator. Reason for that is creation is the purpose. Creation is the purpose. Everything that we're going through is for creation. And specifically, according to the Bible's mind, for the creation of the devotional conversation. So it may feel as though we are being picked on. It may feel as though I hate everything because everything connected to the Bible now and everyone connected to the Bible now is fake. All of a sudden, our opinions may change. All of a sudden, we may express hatred towards who we believe God is or to the figure we call God. All of a sudden, the experience is going to become difficult and we're going to become frustrated. And that's fine. Cool, be frustrated. You have the right to be frustrated. But just know that what you are going through, there is a higher reason for it because your specific intelligence is supposed to edify your realm, and the realm of individuals that will encounter it. So just remember that is that the experience of the Exodus, personally, it's not for everyone. And it's not for everyone, and you are specifically experiencing it because you have a specific mission to do. I get the question all the time, why couldn't God just talk to us? You know, why end it at Moses or whatever? Why end it at the Bible people? Or why not make the Bible more clear? Or why why couldn't God do this? Why? And I'm always just mindful to answer is if it is difficult to honor what is written, how much more difficult would it be to honor what is spoken? If what is written is supposed to be, and if you believe that what is written is from a mind elevated and higher beyond time and space, or whatever you would have it. If it is difficult now to honor that, how much more difficult or how genuine do you believe the honoring of such a mind would be if actually present and speaking? Because if we can't honor what we can't see at this point in time, what makes us think we will be able to honor and respect what we can see? And as a matter of fact, the more the experience becomes genuine, the more we actually will begin to see what we want to see and what we need to see concerning that mind. So there's really no excuse. That's the first part. The second part is the one that is giving this experience isn't the one that's supposed to be going through it. The one that's giving this experience isn't the one that's supposed to be going through it. So if the one that's giving the experience isn't the one going through it, how convincing would the one not going through it be to the one going through it? And I have an example. Um, as a personal trainer, I worked as a personal trainer. And as a personal trainer, I would be training and I would be encouraging. To me, I thought I was encouraging. And I still do because I would be getting my sets in with the individual that I'm training. And then I would say things like, okay, we only have 4 more. Okay, we only have 2 more. We can do this. We can just do this, that, this, that. We can just, and then it got to a certain point where the person I was training, or the persons I was training, because they would all kind of get to the same thing, they would say, "We aren't doing anything." And I would look at them like, huh, wait a minute. Where you going? We aren't doing anything. You are just watching me. I'm doing all the work here. I'm doing all the work. You're not doing anything. And I had to be like, I'm wait a minute. I'm kind of here with you. Like, I'm going through this with you. I may not be doing the exercises, but I understand what this feels like. And I understand the kind of motivation that you need because that's what you signed up for, right? No, we aren't doing anything. I'm the one. I'm the one doing everything. Multiple individuals as I'm training them saying this. And to me, it's weird. But with the illustration that I just gave, if we had to actually have the living God here, someone that is not designed to go through what we're going through, someone that is not designed to go through what we're going through, someone that is not designed to go through what we're going through, how logical do you think and how respectful do you believe we would be to that individual that is saying, even though I love you, I need you to quit your beliefs and to maintain a different mental outlook so that you can be like me? This is what I need you to do. And we can do it for you. And I am here for you. And we will prosper together. I have loved you since the beginning of time. How much garbage would that actually sound? Because it would sound pretty much like garbage, just as I sounded like garbage to that individual. The living God isn't supposed to be going through this. We are. We are here on this earth to go through this. And so, why isn't the living God here to do everything for us? We have to continue to refine our minds and continue to refine this and to discipline that and to employ this and to apply that and to continue to do so with the scriptures in mind. Why isn't the living God doing this? How come this hasn't been done for us already? Why isn't this done? Why do we still have to do this? Because one, the living God isn't designed to go through this, so why should the living God do this? Two, the living God designed this experience for us. Why should the designer, and why are we questioning whether or not the designer did go through this? The third thing is that we are to go through this experience so that we can be an example for one another. Because it is us that has to go through this experience, and it is us that only can connect to us. No non present living mind is going to be able to convince present living minds about an experience of discipline. We would shake it off. We would shake it off. And if we wouldn't shake it off, we would go through the experience because that non living presence is now present. We would go through that experience fraudulently. We would pretend to go through that experience due to the presence that is in front of us. And so things are the way they are, and it is us that have to go through this experience because we have to be an example for one another. If we are looking for an example that's physical, or we will never get it. If we're looking for the kind of example we're looking for physically, if we're looking for something to be done within us magically, If we're looking for something to, if we're, just stop looking for something because nothing's going to happen. And nothing's going to happen because nothing is designed to happen in that way. The Exodus is written for an example of how things go. That's life. And that's devotional lifestyle. That's devotional upbringing and care for the devotional character, the Exodus, and that experience when taken personally. That's that experience. And it is the application of that experience that is supposed to create living witnesses of that experience, an experience designed by the living God. And as we go through that experience, patiently and temperately, despite how frustrating it is and will continue to be always, we will grow. Our devotional character will grow and develop into a faithful witness to other minds that are to be going through this experience, just as you, just as me. Not everybody's going to want to go through this experience. Not everybody will go through this experience. But there's a sort of essence that has to be cultivated within us. And everyone's essence that is supposed to be cultivated is not the same. Everyone's flavor is different for every other different individual similar to their flavor on this planet. The living God isn't for everyone. Let's just get that out of the way. The living God isn't for everyone. Everyone is here for the living God, sure. But the living God isn't for everyone. And especially the way that things are set up by Christian theory and by religious theory and all of this other stuff. The living God is absolutely stripped of character due to the God replacing the living God within the scheme of religion. And so being able to shed that and go through an experience to shed that, and then taking on a new, as it says, be renewed in the spirit of your mind, taking on a new mind of understanding what is to be revealed and what will be revealed is a disposition witnessing to the benefit of such an experience and of such a journey. Conquering the experience is what's taking place. And as we venture to where we venture, whoever encounters us, they will see and they will feel that essence of progress. And it is something there that we don't even know, and we may never know, but something there through our growth and development, touching another in a specific way to make them think differently about themselves. And then their journey begins. And then the essence carrying on and carrying on and carrying on. And we may have no idea. And who cares? Our devotional conversation is given to us to spark minds into existence. Our devotional conversation is gifted to us to spark minds into existence. It is this spark, the sparking of that mind, that is the gift that we are to share with one another. A gift, might I add, the living God cannot share with us physically. Because physically, the living God isn't supposed to go through this experience. It is us that is supposed to go through it. It is us going through this experience that's supposed to send the mind back to the source of how our well-being is to be attributed. That's when the living God comes into play. But no, in order for that to happen, we have to be as a written book. We have to go through some things, and every scar that we have is a story. Every disappointment that we have is a paragraph. Every frustration is a chapter. Everything that we go through is for a specific reason. May not be necessarily for us, even though it does benefit us, because we are becoming whole and we are understanding reality, but it's specifically for others who have yet to understand reality and their own self within that reality. And that's what the Exodus is about. Conquering the experience so that the experience can be a journey for another. Because we are all living this life and wanting value. We all want value. We all want to be valued. We all want to be understood. And part of that, or a major part of that, is the type of consciousness that is attached to worth and to value. The experience within the scriptures is for giving consciousness to the worth of our person. And not everybody is called to such worth. Not everybody is called to such an experience. Not everybody is called or chosen to pass through such a course of learning. But the ones that are, you that are, it is so that you can edify somebody in your sphere. Because somebody in your sphere, whether you know them now or maybe next month, someone is feeling you. Someone is feeling you. And that someone feeling you needs to hear you. They won't listen to the living God. They won't read the script. They won't read the Bible. They won't take it as anything special. They won't take anything beyond what they can see or hear or feel taken seriously. The living God isn't designed in that way. We are. That's why the living God can't do anything for us and will not and should not. And we should not think this because it is us that have to take care of us. The living God isn't flesh within non-flesh. We are. We are. Flesh within non-flesh needs to care for flesh within non-flesh. Only issue is that what is non-flesh within us needs to pass through an experience to understand what that flesh is in true context and how to get or gain respect for it so that another can feel that same respect to have for themselves as they encounter what is non-flesh within us. Difficult if we had to actually see the living God do something. Because how can you feel what we can't? How can you tell me that everything that I'm going through is to be like you and you're not like me? And so the mission and the journey is for the individual called for a specific experience with themselves so that through themselves, somebody else feeling them may understand the call that they also have. And then the mind, the living mind of the living God behind it. Then, when you are on that journey of educating and of enlightening what is not flesh within, well, then that's when you can connect to the living God. Because then that's the same nature as the living God, even though we are flesh. That which is born of the Spirit is spirit. Do you remember? That's in there. That which is born of the Spirit is spirit. But it also says that which is born of the flesh is flesh. But John 4:24 does not say God is flesh, right? John 4:24 says God is spirit. Now, if we're going to take that to be true, I think we need to honor that in our experience. We need to get past the fact that we are hurting. We are suffering for understanding. It's cool to feel suffering for understanding. It's cool to feel hurt or disappointed in the experience, but at some point in time, you have to say, okay, enough is enough. I need to start doing something for myself, and I need to get better. Little steps. Nothing happens overnight. But the Exodus experience is proof of that. And everything that we are going through, for the purpose of conquering the experience, is so that we can, again, go home and tell the good that the living God has done for us. So I will end it there. I'll end it there with this one thought of do for sharing. Doesn't even have to be by word. Could be by a look, even by a look. Sharing what good the living God has done for you to someone in your sphere, in your environment, needing it, even desiring or wanting it. For the purpose of creation, from now until the end of this week, take that for creation and for the purpose of conquering the experience, every bit of suffering that we have been chosen and we have allowed ourselves to be chosen to go through to mean the bettering of another. And for the purpose of that bettering of another, let that continuing to be our inspiration for bettering our own self.